everyone. Thanks for coming. We hope you've had a great Dreamforce so far, and thank you for sharing this bit of time with us, where we're going to talk about chatbots. We're going to talk and show you a little bit about them as well. My name is Andrew Hart. I'm a Technical Architect Director at Accenture. I'm a Salesforce CTA and a Trailhead Ranger as well.
My name's Kerry Townsend. I'm a manager at Accenture. I've been working with the Salesforce platform for approximately almost 10 years now, and I'm a Salesforce MVP. Now, I really hope that everybody's seen this slide now. This is the forward-looking statement. I'm sure you're unfamiliar with it. Please do not make any purchasing or investment decisions based on what we show you here today, only on the product that you see publicly available on the website. So today, as we said, we're going to give you a bit of an introduction to Einstein bots. So we're going to talk to you about what an Einstein bot is. We're going to talk you through the building components of that. Then we're going to dip into a demo and show you two different scenarios. We'll show you how easy it is to make a slight change, and then we'll show you some learning resources, so that everything that we've done here today you should be able to do, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end.
So you may have come across bots already, because they are generally available now from summer 18. We're actually using winter 19 here because we're making use of some of the features that are coming. They are mostly declarative, but you can call Apex from them, which is what we're doing today. The idea is that you chat through a conversational interface and make use of natural language processing that Einstein has baked within the platform. They're integrated throughout. Today we're actually using them in a community context with live agents. And I touched on NLP. There's some intelligence built in. You can train the bot so it picks up intent, and we'll come to intent in a second. And the thing to remember is, it's not there to solve all the problems. It can hand off to an agent whenever it needs to. If sentiment is bad, if it's a problem it doesn't know how to manage. Which brings us on to what bots are good at. Well, they're good at very specific tasks. Simple, repetitive tasks that it is not good value to have your customer service agents carrying out on a day-to-day basis. They're also obviously available 24/7, or at least as much as the platform is available, which is very close to 24/7. They're the first response, so they can just immediately get to your users very quickly if you have a backlog or whatever might be happening in your service situation. They are not designed for complex issues or long conversations. That is not their strength, it's not their use case, it's not what they'll be used for in a customer service situation. Because they're not there to replace service agents, but they're there to boost the productivity by letting the agents focus on the tasks that need human input. And they're not replacing any of the existing service or customer service features that are there. The bot builder, which we'll see in a bit, introduces some new concepts, so a bit more terminology, and I'll just cover those off. Intent. So this is Einstein's interpretation of what a user has entered, and therefore what it wants to do, where it drives in different paths. Dialogues, which are the main way that the chatbot interacts with the user. Kerry will talk a bit more about those in a moment. Entities. And the entity is a vessel for capturing input from the data. So when the bot asks a question, the response that comes back, what is your email address? What is your name? What is your problem? And the variable is where we store that for future use within the chat context. And again, you'll see that in the demo. So just to walk through those in a very simple use case. The user here has entered, I want to update my shipping address for an order, and using Einstein's natural language processing capability, it's interpreted intent from that. We can then shape our dialogue response, which is, you can see it there, so it's a question that's been put out to the user. Where Einstein, the chatbot, asks a question, the answer is where it got put into the entity, and then, as I mentioned, stored into the variable for future use in the session.
So let's look at the different options you have around dialogues. So the first one is about messaging, is a message. So that's where you convey some information to the person interacting with the bot. So an example might be the welcome message. It's good here to set some expectations about what is or isn't possible. And you'll see that if you're using bots, that people usually name them and indicate that it is a bot, so they understand that it's not the full human experience. And then the next option is a question. So this is where you're looking to gather information. So this is what makes it a two-way process. And then next we've got actions. So this is where you've gathered some information and then you're actually taking action. And the areas that you have here are, you can either automate with Flow using Apex, or you can send an email. And then finally, we've got rules. So these are the decision points. So you've gathered some information, you make a decision, and then you take people down different paths. So now we're going to step into a demo. So we're going to show you an example of a fictitious company that we've created called Future Skills. Future Skills is a training provider. They have a number of courses on their website. This website is created through communities. So we're going to take you through two different scenarios. So I have been on the website and I have had a look at the courses and I've selected a course that I would actually like to take. So I've started the chatbot, and in here we'll see that there is actually a specific time delay.
It's not usually this long.
Possibly not this long, but there we go. So you have a time delay, you can build that in, and that can either be defined or you can set in a specific parameter.
I'm going to refresh it.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Can you just restart it? Can you restart it?
Yeah, but it's not doing anything.
Shall I just talk through it? So the demo gods are clearly not shining on us quite today, and I swear, right, we have done this yesterday. We were on that stage where we aren't jinxed, and it was working perfectly well. So I'm just going to talk you through the experience that would happen here. So we'd open the chatbot, and the first question that it asked is what I'd like to do. So I therefore have to provide some natural language input about what I want to do. So I would write in, I want to attend a course. So we've provided some data in the background which would allow the system to be able to interpret that and identify the intent. So what happens there is I write in, I would like to attend a course, just like that. And then the system processes that information and then provides a response. And in this instance, it's asking a question. So at the moment, it's asking for my email address. The reason it's doing this is because it wants to understand whether it already knows me, so whether I'm already in the database. So we're going to respond here with an email address. So I'm known in this database. I've taken a course before. So it establishes that. It searches Salesforce. It finds that record, and then we proceed. So in this particular instance, it's now asking me what training provider I want to work with. So in this case, I'm going to select Accenture. Now you can see that there are a number of options that are given back here, so it's not an open-ended question. This is because it's going into Salesforce, it's interrogating the data, understanding the options that are available, and then presenting them back onto the screen. So my next option is what course do I want to take? So in this particular instance, I'm going to select mobile. And again, we're working through different sets of records within the system, presenting back the options and giving the allowable options. So it's found out that this course is actually available in a number of different locations. So I can pick one of those. In this instance, I'm going to pick Oxford, because I particularly like Oxford. And then what we're going to find is actually that's provided enough information for the bot to actually take action. So what's happening in the background here is that we're using some Apex code, which is going through, it's identified all the inputs that it needs, and then it's creating an enrollment record for me in the system. And then it's displaying some information back to me on the screen so that I understand that it's taken the correct action and it's provided me with a confirmation ID. So that's how we know that the loop has been closed. So if we step into Salesforce now, and then go and have a look at the records, you would be able to see that in here, a record has been created. There we go. So we've got a course enrollment record with all the information that has been provided through this chatbot. So now we're going to take you through the second scenario. So that's all very well. We've got we've set some intent to start with, but in this instance, now I actually want to change my course. So this is more sort of a customer service sort of setting where I want to make an adjustment to something that's already been specified. So in here, I would like to say that I actually need to change my location because I can no longer make it to Oxford. So it's going back into the system, and again, we're going to go through some verification. So it's going to ask me or try to identify what the record is already. Now you have some different options here. Previously, we just entered, say, email address, and you could have actually done some additional verification to take you through, the normal process that you would expect maybe if you'd been on the phone. But in this instance...
Our demo gods are not there today, are they?
We're going to speak really quickly. So we're going to give in the enrollment number. It's going to have fed back to me that it already understands that my course is in Oxford. So it's taken some information from a record in Salesforce and merged it into that dialogue. I'm going to select now Liverpool, because I have some family in Liverpool. So I'm quite happy to take a course there. And then it feeds back to me all the information that it has, and that it can say, actually, now my course has been changed. So what you'll also see here is that we've then taken you back to an option where you can pick the main menu or end the chat. So in here, you can take people through cycles of conversation, and at any point, you can dive out to an agent. So for example, if the chatbot couldn't understand specifically what the person was writing, at any point, we could have actually moved them out to an agent who would have been able to triage that issue. So it's a really sort of combined experience where you get the best of both worlds. And I think we're also seeing over the time that we've been here that Einstein Voice is also using this intent. So the things that we're building here and the way that we're getting used to interacting in a conversational way is becoming more and more prevalent.
So going to have a look just how the bot is actually set up using the bot builder. If it's working, yeah, there we go. So Future Skills is our chatbot. So I'm going to go into edit that. And we can see here we've got a number of dialogue trees. And these all work independently from each other. We start at the welcome page, which is our home. And you can see we've got the greeting that we saw both times. Hello, welcome to the skills. How can I help you? What the end of this is just to wait for a customer input. So we're not providing branching at this point. We are literally just saying, type something in. I'm going to use the second example, so changing the location. So with that, we ended up in this tree. We ended here because of the dialogue intent. So what we have provided that is sample inputs, training data. The text here says a minimum of 20, but ideally 150 or more. I had a session with the data scientist from Salesforce earlier in the week. He said 1,000, as much training data as you can give the bot to make it more effective. And if you were paying attention, very close attention, you'd see that the words I entered aren't precisely here. That's the natural language processing of Einstein has picked up the intent because there's a high correlation between what I entered and this sample entry. Once we were in here, it asked us for our enrollment number. And here we have an entity where we capture that data and map it to a variable because we're going to use that variable several times later on. We then have our apex. So we have a piece of invocable apex here that passes in that enrollment ID and returns the enrollment record. We confirm that by using the dynamic message builder there. We then asked for a new location. Now this was actually a static list. This wasn't a dynamic list as the earlier ones were, just to show you that a static list is something you can present within the conversation. Once that location had been selected, it was Liverpool, second one, wasn't it? Once you'd selected Liverpool, again, another piece of Apex that passes in that enrollment ID that we captured several steps earlier, as well as the new location. And once we've output that, we can confirm that it was successful back to the user. If we look at the record, it will have updated at this point to Liverpool. Other things that are included in the bot builder, the overall overview, so we can see how well it's responding, how we can set the delay time, so to give it a typing time. I can't think of the word there. We also have the performance, where we can see how often it's run, what times of day it's being most often called. As well as, more useful for debugging, the events log for each of the chat sessions that have come up. I won't go into one of those. As with Flow or with Apex, we have to define any variables we want to use ahead of time. For entities, we just use the system entity, so we have no custom ones in this, but you could enter very specific entities to bring in very precise locations.
So we've seen the building blocks, you've seen it in action, so now let's actually see how easy it is to make a simple change. So this particular dialogue has been deactivated. So in here, because we're at Dreamforce, we're going to add a Dreamforce message to the welcome message. So what you do here is you go and select message, and then in this instance, you're going to say welcome to Dreamforce. So then in this place, you can actually move the message up and down so it appears in the right place actually in the bot. Then you can save, and then in this instance you have the option to either activate, which would set it live, or we can preview.
Or both.
There we go. So this means that you can actually preview live in the same window that you're making changes, the things, and simulate that you're getting exactly the same behavior that you want, rather than having to, step out, interact with it.
And again, the demo gods are letting us down here. The bot's not active at the moment. It's not woken up yet. I'm going to jump back to the slides.
Yep.
So the bot objects are available through change sets, but they're also available through the metadata API. So deploying them is very straightforward. You have to get the bot version because you can iterate the versions as you're designing them. So use the bot version object. There are a lot of resources available for working with bots, including beginner and intermediate guides. There's also a couple of trailheads. There's also the release notes. As I mentioned, we've used Winter 19 today, and there are some of the features that we've used aren't available until then. I would also strongly recommend that you join the Service Cloud Einstein Bots success group, share your ideas, your use cases, your successes, and your frustrations.
So because we knew that we would get asked this question, like, how do I get hold of this? What's the licensing? So you need Enterprise Edition and above, you need a Service Cloud license, and you need to have activated the Live Agent feature to be able to access this. So if any of you had bookmarked this session early on, you may have noticed that we are not the original presenters of this session. That was Abra, our colleague, and unfortunately he couldn't be here today, so we're delivering this session on his behalf, but that is his Twitter handle. If you've enjoyed this, please do tweet him and say that this was really valuable, because he put the session together, he did all the content, he did everything. We're just presenting this information hopefully as truly representative as we can. He has also made all the code that he used for this available on this GitHub. And there is a link to the SlideShare, which will have this presentation. So yeah, he's done all that work. Please give him the credit for that.
We will stay around for questions afterwards. Thank you very much for bearing with us with the various problems we had. Much appreciated. Thank you.